Okay, so let us recall. Last week we discussed about what topic? Hello?
Language development
Language
po.
development.
Okay, very good. So we talk about language development in two different perspectives. The first one was about Lev Vygotsky's work, and the other one about Noam Chomsky. Between the two, who believe that language acquisition is inherent to us once we are born?
Chomsky po.
Chomsky, and the other one believe that language acquisition is through experience though and observation. So that is just a short recall about our discussion last week. And now I'm going to share my screen. We're going to discuss about this one. Hindi. Saan yung PowerPoint? Teka lang, class hindi ko makita. Hindi nalabas sa aking share content. Teka lang. Okay, present screen. Ayan. I hope you see now my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, teka lang. I will just open that in my recording application. So, ecological. Okay, ayan, nasa top. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Yuri Bronfenbrenner's theory of development, in which the process is a joint function of the person in all the levels of the environment. In Yuri Bronfenbrenner, we're going to talk about the settings of the development where this is taking place. So people often think of development as originating within the individual. So some people may think that we are born of those ignition of that development. But according to Yuri Bronfenbrenner, no, it's not. So the result of such internal factors as genetic programming, physical maturation, and cognitive growth and personal choice. So those what I mentioned earlier are what we call the internal factors. But the focus of this ecological approach is the opposite, or what we call the outside forces or the external factors. No? So let us go here. However, it is also influenced by forces outside of the individual. So aside from what I mentioned earlier, the internal factors, we are also influenced by the uh, outside forces. So by the physical surroundings and social interactions that provide incentives, opportunities, and pathways for our growth. So this is taken as a whole. These external factors are the context of development. When we talk about context of development, this is the settings where the development is again taking place. So Yuri Bronfenbrenner, he is a leading developmental researcher, began to emphasize this approach to the study of human development. This is a joint function of both person and the environment. So he studied about what is or our ecosystem. The first system among the five system is microsystem. This is the immediate social settings that surround and shapes the individual. This includes your family, your religious group, your classroom, and your peer group. Your microsystem, this is the setting in which the individual lives. So, those four that I mentioned earlier, that's family, religious group, classroom, and peer group. As you can notice, you expend much of your time with these four, no? So, in your family, let's say, kung ito ay face-to-face class na, more than half ng time mo in a day is your interaction in your family. Kasi pagising mo ng umaga, tapos pagbalik mo na lang, pag-uwi mo na lang after school, dun yung social interaction. And the rest of your hour is social interaction in your classroom or in your school. So next system is what we call the mesosystem. This is the interconnecting activities or lines between different microsystems. So it comprises the connections between the various microsystems. Example of this is the connection between your school and your family. This activity is what we call the PTA, no, or the Parent Teacher Association. As we all know, at this time nagkakaroon ng meeting yung mga parent natin sa school. They are going to have first officers, set of officers, then magkakaroon na sila ng agenda, then they will propose some projects, no? So in PTA, when parents and teachers coordinate efforts to educate their child, so yung mga PTA and meeting natin, all of them aims to, of course, help us in our education. So that is an example of mesosystem. So you're interconnections between different microsystems. So aside from school and your family, we can also have there your religious group and your family. So every Sunday or Saturday, meron tayong or other days of the week, meron tayo diyang isang araw na tayo ay sasamba or sisimba, no? So that activity is an example of the actions under mesosystems. So when another example is when an employee arrange family emergency leave, for example, like for a vacation, no? So mesosystems show show relations between the microsystems or connection between the context of different microsystems. So in the third one is the ecosystem. This is the specific economic, political, educational, and cultural institutions and practices that directly affect the microsystems. No? Yung mismo microsystem, it's either the family, religious group, or other. But often powerfully, everyone in those microsystem. It can be indirectly affecting each of the members in the microsystem. So the environment in which an individual is not directly involved. This is which is external to his or her experience. So it means we are not directly involved or participating on that matter, but nonetheless we are also affected. Let's say the mass media community, the school system, medical institutions, and parent workplace are examples of uh, our ecosystem. Let us talk about parents' workplace. We are not directly participating in our parents' workplace. No, hindi tayo yung gumagawa ng trabaho doon. But that indirectly affects us. Yung mga sinasahod ng ating parents help us in our finances at home. So let's say si parent natanggalan sa trabaho or nawalan ng sahod kasi parang nag-leave or tawag dito, na-suspende. So, it can indirectly affect us kasi mawawalan tayo ng panggastos sa bahay through our parent. Okay? So, when experiences in another social setting in which the individual does not have an active role influences what he or she experiences in an immediate context. So, yun yung na-explain ko na kanina. The next one is the macro system. So this is the largest among the five. This is surrounding and permitting all of these developmental contexts. So the overarching traditions, beliefs, and values of the society and the community. So the larger cultural context, including issues of cultural values and expectations. This includes cultural values, national customs, political philosophy, economic patterns, and social conditions. Let's say your community's political philosophy affects or influence your cultural values and national customs. Katulad yung mga capitalist country natin such as US, if you will look at their community, look at their cultural values, and compare that to other political philosophy such as yung ating mga communist country, like alimbawa, yung North Korea, tingnan nyo yung kanilang cultural values and national custom. That is very different to US kasi one of these macro systems can affect or influence one or another. Okay? So, macro system involves the culture in which individual lives. Now, when we talk about culture, this pertains to the behavior patterns, beliefs, and all other products of a group of people that are passed on from generation to generation. Okay, next, we'll talk about chrono system. This is the patterning of environmental events and transitions over the life course. So, the effects created by time or critical periods in each of the development. So, this when we say chrono, that pertains to the time in full. So, events occurring in the context of passing time. So, these events may have impact on a particular birth cohort. So, for example, disruptive effects of divorce peak 1 year after the divorce with a broken family. No? So, with effects more negative for sons than that of the daughters. So, these effects are seen this is seen after a certain period of time daw, according to a research. So that shows an example of our chrono system. So the patterning of environmental events and transition over one lifespan includes socio-historical circumstances. So I have here an image or diagram showing you how we can relate those five different systems. So if we talk about you yourself as an individual, you are surrounded by different systems, so you are at the middle. So your immediate social setting is your microsystem. This includes your family, your classroom, your religious setting, and your peer group. And the interconnections between them is what we call the mesosystem. And outside your mesosystem and microsystem, you have there the macrosystems. Microsystem, sorry. Okay. And outside your microsystem, you have what we call the exosystem that includes mass media, community, your school system, and medical conditions. After that, outside of that is your macrosystem. that includes cultural values, national customs, economic patterns, and social conditions. And the last one is your chronosystem. Okay, so let us recall those five um, systems in the ecological approach by Yuri Bronfenbrenner. The first one is microsystem. Second one is the mesosystem. Third one is the microsystem. The fourth one is the exosystem. Parang naulit ko yung isa. So exosystem, next is macrosystem, and the last one is chronosystem. Alright, moving on, we have here Robert Havighertz. So this is Robert Havighertz. Okay, we're going to talk about a different topic naman. So he is born in De Pere, Wisconsin in 1900 and he is German in origin. Between 1924 and 27, he worked on atom structure and published numerous papers on physics and chemistry. But in 1928, he shifted careers by deciding to work with experimental education. So this is his actual proposal of what is the Havighertz developmental task. When we say developmental task, these are expectations to a person in certain period of or certain age range na dapat daw we are able to meet them, no? So it pertains to a different aspect of development, especially yung physical development natin, our social interaction, our and our cognitive or intellectual development. So meron 6 different age range na pinresent si Havighertz. So, meron tayong first one, infancy and early childhood. That starts from 0 to 5 years of age. So, uh, according to Havighertz, the developmental tasks of this age range no, are learning to talk, learning to use the toilet, learning to talk, and learning to form relationship with the others. So according to Robert Havighertz, kapag ang isang bata at this age range they're not able to meet this developmental task, we can say that that is an example of red flag. When we say red flag, no, it can be our way of determining whether the child is developing on the right track or having a delay. So kapag meron delay, of course we must have an intervention para si bata is makasabay sa development. Of course, magkakaiba yan ng speed or magkakaiba sila ng time in development, no? Let's say in my experience during my grade 3 class, meron akong grade 3 advisory. Among grade 3 students, meron doon ka talagang manonotice na sino yung high achiever, sino yung low achiever, at sino yung mga bata talagang meron delay in physical development, yung nahihirapan sa motor coordination, at parallel doon, meron silang problem in um, pronouncing words. No? Kasi at that time, dapat nakakapag-pronounce na sila ng maayos. They can communicate no? Pero, meron talaga doon mapapansin ka na medyo may delay. So, anong gagawin ni teacher? So, pwede mo yung i-coordinate sa inyong guidance counselor, then you talk. After the dialogue, then you can take actions parallel to the decision made by your guidance counselor kung ano bang pwede gawin doon. So, normally, kapag talaga nakita may delay at kailangan ng help ng parent, the parents will be caught on attention. Then, 1 to 2 months pwede nyo na ma-observe yun. So, sakto yun sa first card giving ninyo is pwede nyo na yung ma-discuss. Sa amin kasi, we entertain students with difficulties no? Meron kaming students na tinatanggap na may language delay, physical delay, mga ganon. At iba pang, meron may mga behavioral problems, meron pang mga intellectual problems din kami na tinatanggap. No? So, sa amin, parang nagiging normal na lang yung ganong klaseng practices. Okay, let us now go to the second age range. We have the 6 to 12 years old or the middle childhood. Sabi dyan, taka lang. Okay. So, children learn to school-related skills such as reading or learning about conscience and values and learn to be independent. So, this is now the start of your social interaction outside of your house and outside of your playmates. Adolescents or the 13 to 7 years of age establish emotional independence, learn skills needed for productive occupation, achieve gender-based social role, establish mature relationship with peers. We also have the early adulthood or the 18 to 35 years old. So, yung kayo, yung mga estudyante ko is more commonly nandito na tayo, no? So, 18 and on na kasi yung age ninyo. So, sabi ni Habigertz, you now have to choose a life partner, establish a family, take care of a home, and establish a career. So at this age range, no, pero wag naman as early as 18 years of age, no. So next is the middle age or 36 to 60 years old. So maintain a standard of living, perform civic and social responsibilities, maintain a relationship with spouse, adjust to psychological changes, and in later maturity or over 60 years old, adjust to deteriorating health, adjust to retirement, meet social and civil obligation, and adjust to the loss of spouse. So those are the developmental tasks in the 6 different age ranges. So let us talk about the Haviger's developmental tasks of adolescents. So I have here 8 tasks. So in task 1, to achieve a new and more mature relations with peers of both sexes. Task 2, to adopt socially approved masculine or feminine adult roles. Task 3, to accept physique induced body effectively. Task 4, to achieve emotional independence. We have task 5, to develop a personal attitude toward marriage and family living. Task 6, to select and prepare for an occupation. Task 7, to acquire a set of standards as a guide to behavior. Task 8, we have to accept and adapt socially responsible behavior. And as you can notice, these 8 tasks or these 8 developmental tasks, you can accomplish them without going on the task 1 and so on. So this is not arranged according to chronological event. No? So you can accomplish this task even not in a flow. Alright, so that is Robert Havighert's developmental task. Again, when we say developmental task, that is the expectations in a certain age ranges to meet certain development. Now let us go on another slide. Can you now see my screen?
Papa.
Okay, so this is the third topic. We're going to talk about Freud's personality component. Okay, so I have here a boy. So this boy is thinking, uh, he has to choose whether to admit to her mother that he broke her precious vase or not. Because this boy is playing inside the room and suddenly nadangge or natamaan niya yung vase and then nasira kasi nahulog. But he is aware of the consequences that he will face if he admit to his mother, no? If he admit, he might be given different consequences. So more commonly, yung iba may isip, mabigyan siya ng negative consequence. Pwede siyang parusahan or mag-grounded. Or pwede rin namang dahil kung ako yung parent, dahil naging honest yung anak ko, bibigyan ko pa siya ng reward, no? So pero hindi natin alam kung ano yung magiging ibibigay na consequence ng parent natin kapag tayo umamin, no? So kung kayo yung bata, if you're the boy, are you going to admit and be honest? Why or why not? I want to hear some of your answer. Anybody, please. Hello, who would like to share your answer?
Sir,
Yes, po. Yes,
ano po?
Arlan.
Magiging honest po.
Magiging honest ka. So, aaminin
Apo,
mo.
sir.
Bakit gusto mo
Apo,
maging
sir.
honest?
Kasi po, sir, bunga po ng action yung... Bunga po ng naging action ko yung nangyari. Kaya tatanggapin po yung consequences.
So, kahit hindi mo pa alam kung ikaw ay mapaparusahan or mabibigyan ng reward kasi naging honest ka. So, pero magiging honest ka pa rin.
Apo, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Arlad. So, meron kasing ganon talaga na magiging, they will admit. Kasi, yung iba nakikita ko na that is their form of satisfying themselves also. Because, yun nga, nakagawa na tayo ng bad action. So, admitting our bad action is our form of retribution na ito, nakagawa na ako ng mabuti kasi I admit, no? Okay. So, now, this is the boy. Stuck in the middle. Merong bumubulong sa kanya. So, the devil is encouraging the boy to, ano kaya ang ini-encourage ng devil? Umamin or hindi?
Hindi po.
So, hindi. Okay. So, opposite niyan, meron tayong angel who encourage the boy to tell the truth. Now, the boy is stuck in the middle. He has to decide that will affect him. Okay? So, this scenario is like the Freud's three parts of personality, namely the id, ego, and superego. So, for some Hume students, no, maybe this is not new to you. Kasi pwedeng nabasa nyo na to before, but today we're going to focus in defining what is this three. Okay. When we say id, this is your pleasure principle. When we say ego, this is your reality principle. And when we say superego, this is your morality principle. Among the three parts of personality, alin kaya dyan yung id, alin si ego, at alin si superego? Let's start sa devil. Ano kaya siya dun sa tatlo? Id, ego, or superego? Ano kaya si devil dyan?
Pleasure po.
Okay. Si devil natin follows the pleasure principle or what we call the id. Okay? Sasabihin kasi ni devil, huwag ka na umamin kasi pag umamin ka, pwedeng maparusahan ka. Yun ang sinasabi ni devil. So, ang pleasure principle natin doon is huwag umamin si bata para hindi siya maparusahan. Okay? And the other two, ang superego natin is the angel or the morality principle. At ang reality principle natin ay ang ating ego. Okay. Let us talk about each one of them. Our id is the first to develop among the person. So once we are born, we have now the id. Okay, so lahat tayo merong id. Lahat naman tayo meron tayo ng id, ego, and superego. So our id is the biological component of the personality. So this is instinct-based and aims to satisfy basic sexual and aggressive drives. Because your id focuses on meeting your personal needs or psychological, physiological needs. That's why this follows pleasure principle. This exists in the unconscious mind only. So since this resides in your unconscious mind, we are not totally aware of our decision here. So what is a pleasure principle? Pleasure principle is the idea that all of your needs should be met immediately. So for example, a baby is hungry. So his id wants food or milk. So that is a basic need that to satisfy their physiological needs. So for the baby to communicate to his parent that he is hungry, the baby will cry. So the baby will not stop crying unless yung kanyang need ay na-satisfy na. It has no orientation to reality nor the needs of others. Example, si bata, kahit madaling araw, basta pag nagutom yan, siya ay iiyak. 'Di ba? So, wala siyang pake kung ang parent niya ay magigising or mabubulabog. Wala siyang pake kung yung kapitbahay maingayin sa kanya. Or wala siyang pake kung ano man yung activity na ginagawa ng parent niya. So, kailangan daw ma-meet ng bata yung need niya kasi hindi siya titigil sa pag-iyak. Okay? Next is the superego. This is the last to develop among the three. Pero discuss natin muna siya kasi siya yung angel, no? So, this is near the end of preschool year. So, at about 4 to 5 years of age before we enter our elementary or grade 1 is na de-develop na yung ating superego. So, it considers what is right and what is wrong. And it provides standards for judgment. This is always concerned with what is socially acceptable. This follows moral principle. So it pushes you to attain ego ideals and conscience. It exists in the unconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind. So it resides along the three different mind parts. Okay. When we talk about ego ideas, this is your view of what is right. So in a community, we can compoundly describe what is their view of what is right. But when we go to other countries in which they have different culture or different social norms, they can have another view of what is right for them. So when we talk about what is conscience, this is your view of what is considered to be wrong. That is your conscience. So Freud's three parts of personality. The last to discuss is the ego. This is next to develop after the id. So this emerged from toddler to preschooler. So this follows reality principle and this is the deciding agent of the person. It resides in the conscious mind, so we are fully aware of our decision here. This is the This is the execute or decision-making body. This mediates the demands of id and the superego. So in reality principle, this is the idea that the desires of the id must be satisfied in a method that is both socially appropriate and realistic. So it reasons and considers the best response to a situation. So again, this mediates the pleasure principle and the morality principle. Okay, now let us move on to the Freud's topographical model of consciousness. So ito yung mga nabanggit ko kaninang conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. So this model has four different parts. We have first one, the unconscious. Next is pre-conscious or subconscious mind. Next is the conscious mind and the non-conscious mind. The first three are the common, at yung last one is not common to other references, but I still included them. This is best explained through an iceberg metaphor. This is an iceberg metaphor. So, you can notice, ito yung parang sa Titanic, no? Sabi nung Titanic, sabi, pwede tayong dumaan dyan kahit sa gilid ng iceberg na yan kasi maliit lang. But they are not aware that yung maliit na portion lang na nakikita nila sa horizon nila, yung iceberg. Pero sa ilalim nun ay higit pang mas malaki compared doon sa nakikita nila sa horizon nila. No? So, we have here Freud's, ayan. We have here the first one, the unconscious mind. So, if we will compare this in your unconscious mind to the part of the iceberg metaphor, this is under or below sea level. So this is outside of your awareness at all times. Alin ba yung awareness natin? Yung nakita na daw natin sa horizon part. So ito yung nandun sa taas, no? So remember Oedipus and Electra complex. So if you are aware of this, no, ito yung event na kung saan pag when we talk about Oedipus complex, ito yung parang unconscious jealousy of the boy to their father, no? Tingnan nyo sa normally daw yung mga bata daw may nakikita silang ano unconscious jealousy to their father towards their mother. Ang gusto ng mga batang lalaki is yung focus ng kanilang mother is sa kanila. Okay? Ngayon, opposite naman yun sa Electra complex. Nakita daw ng mga batang babae na ang threat sa kanila is yung kanilang mother. Because unconscious in their mind, they can form jealousy towards their mother para sa kanilang daddy. Kasi ang gusto naman nila, ang focus ng kanilang daddy is towards them. Okay? So, in Greek mythology, Oedipus and Electra complex, yung term na yan ay na-coin based from a Greek mythology story, no? Na si Oedipus, napatay niya yung hari, yung tatay niya, kasi nagkaroon siya ng affair doon sa nanay niya. But he is not aware na yun pala yung parent niya, no? Okay, so the same thing with Electra complex. So they're outside of your awareness. Yung unconscious jealousy ng mga bata towards their same sex sa parent. Halimbawa, ang selos ng batang lalaki ay sa nakikita nilang threat is yung kanilang daddy or father. Okay, so they are buried in our conscious mind, still influence our thinking, our feeling, and activities. Next is the preconscious or the subconscious mind. So yung kanina natin, unconscious mind, di ba yun ay below this white line? Itong white line na to, no? So sa unconscious mind natin is part daw ng whole part ng id ay nandoon, half ng superego and a little part of the ego. Here in the preconscious or the subconscious mind, uh, little part lang ng superego and half part ng ego ay nasa subconscious mind natin. So this is all information that you are not currently aware but can be recalled. If someone asks you certain information, no, ay yung mga nare-recall nyo, it means that is in your subconscious mind. Next is the conscious mind. So this is your current state of awareness. So half part of the ego and little part of the superego resides in this conscious mind. So the non-conscious, this is not, you are not aware of this, you have not experienced or has not been made part of your personality. So what I mean is your among the three parts of personality, this non-conscious mind is not really influencing. Let's say, ano example nitong non-conscious state of mind natin? Syempre, pag tulog tayo, that is considered non-conscious state of mind. Okay. Freud's three personality component and personality adjustment. Freud said that a well-adjusted person is the one who has a strong ego to decide on a matter, no? To decide on a matter satisfying the needs of the id without going against the superego and maintaining what is practical and real. So among the three personality components, sabi ni Freud, we must have a sense of balance. Now, what if hindi balance yung id, ego, and superego natin? Let's say si id, nag-overpower siya sa ating ego. Ano kaya pwedeng mangyari? So the person may become impulsive. So deciding on a matter without considering what might be the consequences. Or aside from decision making, gastos lang ng gastos. Basta bibili lang siya ng bibili. Yung mga shopaholic natin, yung add to cart lang na add to cart. Without considering na ito na lang yung pera nila, mauubos na, or hindi naman nila pala kailangan pero bibilin pa rin. Next is how if they have pleasure-seeking behavior. So yung mga addicted on meeting their physiological needs, no? Our physiological needs have different examples such as yung biological need natin, yung food. Pwedeng addict kumain. Okay? Pwedeng including sex, no? It is our physiological needs. Yung iba addict din sa sex. Okay? So iba-iba. Now, what if the superego naman exerts too much power to our ego? So the person becomes harsh. These people are very judgmental. Remember this, follow the morality principle. They think that their point of view is always right. No? So ito yung mga masyadong straight to the point magsalita na parang insensitive sila on kung ano man yung lalabas sa kanilang mouth. So Freud believed that the personality of an individual is formed early during the childhood years. The ability of a person to be well adjusted is influenced by the extent of meeting the needs or the id, the extent of exercising the will of the child or the ego, and how they are taught about what is right and wrong or the superego. That is why this is very important that at a very young age, the children are taught on these three matter. No? Di ba nga, tuturuan na sila ng proper attitude and the proper attitude or proper manner, or good manner and right conduct. no? Um, um, na-notice nyo, no, na sa bata, sabi ni Freud, yung tatlong ito, personality components, ay made-develop at about um, before we enter the grade 1 or elementary years. Kasi ang last na made-develop is yung ating super ego, no? So, yung ating morality principle. So, kailangan nga ang maturuan natin ng tama yung mga bata. Okay? So, maturuan ng tama, hindi lang about academics, kundi pwedeng values din. So, manonotice nyo yon sino yung mga batang kung sino yung mga batang na-raise ng maayos, no? Una pa lang. Kasi as they age, as they grow, you can notice sino yung mga uh, magagandang attitude, magagandang personality. Compared dun sa mga batang napabayaan sa lansangan, napabayaan sa mga barkada, na kung ano-ano mga nakuha. No? So makikita natin talaga ano yung klase ng personality ng tao, depende kung paano sila pinalaki ng society, ng family, ng school. So, yung mga dinidiscuss ko katulad ng context of development, yung kanina, yung ating ecological approach, ay connected in other theories. Now, let us summarize. The three parts of personality component according to Freud are id, ego, and superego, which operates on the reality principle, that is, the ego. The one that operates under pleasure principle is the id. And the one that operates on the morality principle is the superego. So among the actual battle between opponents, so you have their opponents and one referee at the middle. Which among the three parts of personality will become the referee? So that is your ego or the deciding agent. What are the four levels of consciousness? According to Freud, we have conscious, the unconscious, preconscious or subconscious, and the non-conscious mind. Among the four levels of consciousness, which is always outside of your awareness? So this is your unconscious mind. In the unconscious mind, you can see the whole part of your id, half part of your superego, and a little part of the ego. Among the four levels of consciousness, which is you are not aware of, have not experienced, have not been made part of your personality, and that is your non-conscious mind. Your current state of awareness is your consciousness, and the last part is your preconscious mind. Okay, so that's the end of this topic. Let us now move on to the next one. Nakakahabol po ba?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Alright, now let us go to the emotional development presented to us by Daniel Goleman. So this is Daniel Goleman. When we talk about emotional intelligence, this is a type of social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own and others' emotions and to discriminate among them and to use the information to guide one's thinking and actions. That is according to Goleman. So Daniel Goleman, according to him, emotional intelligence or emotional quotient is a good predictor for life success. As you can notice here, I have here a diagram. Okay. Based on this graph, sabi niya, an average, the person with an average IQ can perform best if they have high EQ. No, compared to the person with high EQ, high IQ but lower EQ. Okay. So Goldman tried to develop traits that are necessary for success, and that is our emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. So based on the research, it has zero correlation to intelligence quotient or the IQ. Okay. Uh, Another diagram showing here that this big heart shows that this person has high emotional intelligence, and they can make more profit out of the person with a lower emotional intelligence, higher profit or income. Now, based from a Forbes article of all the people they have studied at work, they have found out that 90% of the high performers are also high in EQ, and only 20% of low performer are high in EQ. Okay. So as you can notice, mas marami daw tao yung nag-excel or nagiging achiever if you have high emotional intelligence. So Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence has different elements. Okay, so each let us go to them one by one. The first one is what we call the self-awareness. So this is the ability to recognize and understand your moods, your emotions, your drives, as well as their effects on others. So characteristics is self-confidence, realistic self-assessment, and self-deprecating sense of humor. Now, when we talk about self-regulation of a person, this is the ability to control or redirect disruptive impulses and moods. So you are not just easily make scene or be angry in certain scenario, or yung mga mainitin ng ulo or mabilis mapikon, they have low self-regulation. The propensity to suspend judgment or to think before acting. So yung mga people with high self-regulation ability, what they tend to do is to think first before they make actions. Okay, so characteristics of this self-regulation is trustworthiness and integrity, comfort with ambiguity, and openness to change. Now, motivation is the passion to work for a reason that go beyond money or status, or just simply, if a person is motivated, they are or passionate something, they are completing certain tasks because they really love to do that. When we talk about empathy, this is the ability to understand emotional makeup of other people. That is your empathy. So, skill in treating people according to their emotional reactions. Now, when we talk about social skill, this is the proficiency managing relationships and building networks among other people. So, this is an ability to find common ground and build rapport. So this is Daniel Goleman's different elements of emotional intelligence. And according to Goldman, for us to have high emotional intelligence or EQ, we must have attained this five elements of emotional intelligence. Now, the major qualities that make up emotional intelligence, this is according to Mayer and Salovey naman. According to them, the self-awareness is observing oneself and recognizing a feeling as it happens. Okay, so let's say if you are happy, then um, you recognize that you are happy. When you are sad or alone or depressed or stressed, recognize your state of mind na meron ka. Kung ikaw ay malungkot, um, kailangan mong i-recognize yun. Huwag mong sasabihin na meron kang na-experience na family problem or meron kang problem na na-experience pero ayaw mo siyang i-recognize, ayaw mong pag-usapan, ayaw mong ipakita sa ibang tao na may problema ka. Of course, pag tinago mo yun sa sarili mo, no, mahihirapan ka. Okay? Kasi ang tao, for us, it's normal na for us to move on something, we really need to talk on that. Okay? So, yung mga, nagkaroon naman na tayo ng seminar about depression, kung umattend ba kayo nun kay Sir Leonard Paunil, no? Let's say, merong bata na nakaka-experience ng depression or stress, no? Kailangan tulungan natin silang kausapin. And we must recognize that depression really occurs or happening to someone. And if we're going to talk to them, wag natin sasabihin na, wag natin i-compare yung normal state of mind sa state of mind ng mga depressed people. Okay? Kasi hindi rin tayo makakatulong. So, yun nga, yung empathy kanina, no? So, dapat meron tayong empathy sa kanila. And we must recognize their state of mind na pag-usapan natin, saan ka, bakit ka, ano yung problem, ano yung nagkakos sa'yo ng depression. Ang pag-uusapan nyo yung tungkol sa kanya, hindi yung tungkol sa'yo. Okay? So, wag natin i-compare yung normal state of mind natin, yung tayong kumakausap sa mga taong nakaka-experience ng depression or stress. Okay? So, next is managing emotion. So, handling feeling, or this is relative to self-regulation yung kanina. Next is motivating oneself, or the Goleman, this is relative to motivation. Okay, now, ito yung empathy natin. So, sensitivity to others' feelings and concerns, taking perspective, appreciating the differences in how people feel about things. And the last one is handling relationships. So, managing emotions in others, social competency, and social skills. So, these are the major qualities that make up emotional intelligence according to Salivate. Okay, so this is another research or work about emotional intelligence. But as you notice, this is more commonly the same as what Daniel Goleman presented. We have here the emotional framework. Look at this one. When we say self, okay, this pertains to how you manage yourself. When we talk about social, this pertains to how you handle relationships among other people. And when we say awareness, you are aware of who you are or what is happening around you. And management, what actions you're going to take on certain scenario. So, the different emotional intelligence framework are: number one, we have self-awareness, okay, or being aware of your self, social awareness, self-management, and social management. Okay, so here are your four emotional framework. Okay, so this is the end of this topic. Do we still have time? Okay, so maybe this is the end of our discussion for this meeting. I discussed already, I think, 4 different topics. We started from the first one, Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological approach, Robert Havigert's developmental task, Sigmund Freud's personality component, and the emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Okay. May natutunan po ba today, class?
Meron po.
Meron po.
Okay. So hopefully marami po tayong natutunan. And meron po ba tayong tanong?
Wala na po, sir.
Okay, so I think wala na nga. So to save data, I will end this meeting na po. Thank you class for listening, and tomorrow we're going to have another online class. See you tomorrow. Goodbye class.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. God
Thank you po.
bless.